Good evening, everybody. Good evening indeed. Welcome to another broadcast here on Absolute Sim Racing, and welcome to another round of the Race Anywhere World Series. My name is Chaz Draycott, and I'm delighted to be joining you for round 3 of this very, very exciting championship. We're here at the wonderful Okayama International Circuit. Used to be, of course, known as Thai Circuit Ada, or AIDA, however you want to pronounce it. Used to be, of course, the host of the Pacific Grand Prix as well. Very, very tricky place to race around. The legendary slippery Japanese tarmac may be wide here at this circuit, but because of that, carrying momentum and making sure you have the right line is right at the top of the drivers' priority lists. Currently 57 degree humidity, very humid indeed, not a very high wind. 28 degrees Celsius in the air though. So it's not too hot, it's just about right for our drivers out there today. Can have a quick look at how things are at the moment. Jonathan Ouellette currently the fastest out there in terms of the pros. And in terms of the Pro-Ams at the moment, it is Brown that is top of the pile there. He's certainly having a strong run, it has to be said. Just having a quick look to see if we can reload that. There you go. Because Harry Wills is third, but it's Gary Brown that is currently the fastest in the FTR Esports Porsche 911 GT3R. Great sounding machine. It's certainly going to get loud out there on track today. Plenty of wonderful noises for us to listen to. All of these different engines in these GT3 cars. One of the best things about GT3 racing, of course, is the fact that they are all so different. The many configurations we have. We've got the very rearward engined Porsche 911, the front engined BMW M4, mid-engined Ferrari 488, and we even have out there on track another front engine beast, the 6.3 litre V8 engine in the front of the Highside Hustlers Motorsport Mercedes-Amg Gt3 of Jason Bridges. Some of these drivers were out already in previous races yesterday in the Race Anywhere WSL ran leagues anyway. One of them was Andrew Rasmussen. I was commentating on that with my colleague Austin Belkey as we covered the Race Anywhere Porsche Cup of the United States. It's great to see a lot of drivers that take part in this as well. And we've already seen in the sort of 2 minutes that we've been live on air how difficult that pit entry is here. It's going to be important for pit stops. Very, very important for the drivers to get that one right. And it's a long old pit lane here as well, a very slow pit lane at Okayama. There is Donald Malcolm making his way around turn 2, then hard on the power through left-right kink at 3 and 4, then hard onto the brakes again before making his way back up the hill. Car blinking in and out a little bit, brakes glowing. Drew Neubauer, he's certainly going to be hoping for a much more smooth sailing race meeting here. He had a very, very tough time last time with contact with the overall race leader, Jonathan Ouellette, as he rejoined the track. He also had a very, very hectic night in Porsche Cup as well last night. But I hope you've all been well. Hope you're all safe and staying healthy during this very trying time that the world is in at the moment. It's great to be back with you for another round of this championship. It certainly does feel like a long time since we were at Watkins Glen. We also have the guys that made their debut last time out still with us. We've got Jack Werrell in the session with us. We also have, we saw him a moment ago, where's he gone? James Hebb out there, as we look at James here in the Lamborghini, the Rhino Motorsports driver. He took a win in the AM class on his debut. And it was Taylor Lane that took a win in the Pro-Ams as well. We've only got a matter of seconds now before the session completes, and then we'll get this race underway. Of course, the grid for these races is basically the championship order in class reversed. So if you are leading the championship in your class, you will start at the back of the pack. So, not too many of them to go through in the pro category. Although for some reason, once again, it's put Tyler Campbell as a pro-am with the pros, and I'm still not sure why. It did this last time, didn't it? Oh dearie me. We'll have to have a quick run through of this, because I did change Tyler to be a pro-am. So I'm not quite sure why that hasn't gone through. I'm really, really sorry, everyone. We'll have to reload the overlay for a second, see if it kicks things in. No, clearly not. Either way, we know that Harry Wills is on pole position in the pro category. And then he is followed by Dave Menino and Jonathan Ouellette. Then it is Tyler Campbell at the top of the pro-ams. Jeff Carollo and Mark Sigelkow on row 2. Jack Werrell is in 4th place. Jeremy Littleton 5th, ahead of Joseph Smith. Taylor Lane and Michael Kulaga on the next row of the grid. Then it's Andrew Rasmussen, Eric Kulaga in 10th, Gary Brown 11th, and Brent Bravata in 12th. Jay Steffi and Dean Timms round out the back of the pro-ams. Then it's Drew Neubauer and Jason Bridges ahead of Daniel Florea and John Casey. James Hebb and Tom Cornett are next up. Matthew Plaisance lines up alongside Donald Malcolm. Justin Delano and Stephen Martinez are on row 5, with Michael Fowler at the back of the field. So yeah, Wyatt thinks Tyler Campbell is ahead of... Although no, he is with the pros, isn't he? He is up there with the pros. So now that's confused me, because we had him down as a pro, and I figured that was a mistake last time. Maybe it wasn't. Apologies, everybody. Maybe I did make the change, and then I made that my mistake myself. I doubt my own abilities. Anyway, round 3 of the championship is about to get underway here. It is Tyler Campbell leading them away. Only 4 cars in the pro class, and off they go. Tyler Campbell for FTR Esports in the Ferrari. Jumps very quickly away from Harry Wills, Dave Menino and Jonathan Ouellette. No shenanigans between these boys on the way down into turns 1 and 2. They're going to keep it nice and tidy through there. That's Harry Wills down the inside of Menino. He knows he doesn't have to push too hard. Here's the much bigger Pro-Am field. A bit further back, Mark Sigelkow leading these lot. He's in the Porsche alongside Jeff Carollo. Sigelkow in the red number 67 car. Off they go. Flying down towards turn 1. You can see Rasmussen in the bright purple Audi in the middle of the field. Very, very hard to miss. Taylor Lane just ahead of him in that. We've also got Jack Werrell not actually taking part by the look of it. Jack Werrell seems to have dropped out of the session for some reason. Not a clue why. Here come the AM drivers. Drew Neubauer leading them. Jason Bridges second. Daniel Florea and Tom Cornett making trouble. A little bit of contact between the pair of them. Everyone just trying to sort it out amongst themselves. Very feisty stuff. Further up the order though, Menino and Ouellette still stuck together. Tyler Campbell running away while this is going on. So tight and twisty through this final section of the circuit, especially in GT3 cars. Very difficult to get right. We've got Rasmussen going off the circuit. Oh, when he comes back on and there's contact made. Interesting to see that you can change the tyre rating on the Audi again now. You can seem to have Michelin's on it as opposed to Pirelli's. Joseph Smith has been off the road and he's in the middle of the track. Oh no, the FTR car. Gary Brown is off. Must have been contact between these two. Either that or it was Gary trying to avoid him. Let's have a look. Joe's just caught the curb, run a bit wide, had a bit of a spin. Oh, and he's just caught Gary. And Gary's kept his foot in it and floored it the other way. Crashed into the barrier. Oh, Tom Cornett's had a problem as well. Oh, we're having this problem again, aren't we? Tom Cornett has already been off the road. And I think, he's just had another spin there, hasn't he? Nightmare for Tom Cornett. Apologies, everybody. We do have to just quickly reopen the overlay here. And hope that it does go back to live pictures. There we go. Sorry about this. I always seem to have these technical issues and things, don't I, whenever I cover the series. It's fine the rest of the time. I don't know what it must be. Anyway, Tyler Campbell currently leads us. It's not regenerated the gaps yet, so I've got to be patient. Jonathan Ouellette in second place in the other Ferrari. Dave Menino third. Harry Wills in fourth. In the Pro-Ams, it's Mark Sigelkow ahead of Jeff Carollo, and then Jeremy Littleton and Taylor Lane. Taylor Lane not too far off the back of Jeremy Littleton either. And the Martini branded Ferrari. On board with the BMW we go. Yeah, the wonderful pops and bangs from the 6-cylinder turbocharged engine of the BMW. Seems to have so much traction, doesn't it, out of the final couple of corners. Just looks really stable from where we are. It's a great car to watch. Michael Kulaga and Andrew Rasmussen are right together as well, a bit further down. Kulaga just chasing him as well as he can. The other Kulaga as well in a bit of a battle. He's got Brent Bravata going down the inside, or is that Jay Steffi? Apologies, it's Jay Steffi in the Ferrari. The number 94 car through on the inside. Jay will be happy with that one. And there is Kulaga just behind. Getting the slipstream down towards the hairpin. Hard onto the brakes they go. As oh no, Jay's overdone it. Kulaga slowed down and Brent Bravata's gone into the back of him. Bit of damage to the front of Jay's car. Oh, and now he's turned in on Dean Timms. Oh, Jay, that was really messy. And the Porsche of Gary Brown gets caught up in that as well. Now Andrew's trying to reverse. Dean Timms is around. I think Jay just got a little bit sort of overwhelmed there by what was going on. Sounds like there's more contact. Justin Delano now off in the Ferrari. Let's have a look at this again. So Jay Steffi leading this trio with Kulaga just behind him. Onto the brakes, spins it, contact there. Now he gets going and then he's just turned in on the other Ferrari of Dean Timms. Multiple bits of contact that weren't necessary. And that's that, I'm afraid. So, further up the order, this is Jeff Carollo, second place in the Privateer Porsche. Looks like it says Ventus something up the side of the car. But we still have him down as Privateer. Jay Steffi's actually jumped to the pits as well after that incident, so he has disappeared back down. But Tyler Campbell leads this race at the moment. Car 3 ahead of Car 2. Tyler Campbell and Jonathan Ouellette. And then you've got Dave Menino and Harry Wills just behind as well. They're not going anywhere anytime soon, it seems. Top 4 in our pro category sticking together. Jeff Carollo is suddenly under attack here from Jeremy Littleton and Taylor Lane. Taylor in the big beefy BMW at the back of this. Looking quite excited to try and chase him down. Listen to the noise this Porsche makes. It's a glorious, glorious sound. Hard onto the brakes into turn 1 we go. It's quite a quick, smooth corner as well, this turn 1. In most cars. Turn 2, again, you've just got to be patient with the weight transfer from the right to the left. Looks like Littleton not able to do much as of right now, but there's the gaps from the class leaders backwards. Daniel Florea not leading the AM class by very much from Jason Bridges, the only Mercedes in the field as well. Here's Jason. Car 34. The high side Hustlers motorsport machine certainly makes a rumble. Listen. Lovely sound from that V8 engine. They've always sounded like they just can't get all of the back pressure out at once. They just sound like such monstrous cars. Here's a huge train of cars as well. Stephen Martinez, Donald Malcolm, Justin Delano, Michael Fowler and James Hebb all in a line. Go on board with the Lambo. Now there's a proper noise. 5.2 litre V10 in this Lamborghini. The Huracan GT3 Evo. second iteration of Lamborghini's most popular GT3 car, it has to be said. Oh no, Brent Bravata's had a problem for Twisted Racing. He's lost it on the way up the hill. I'm not sure if he had any help, but he recovers quite quickly and continues, but he's 7th in class. Now here's the rabble in the AM class. Stephen Martinez leading the rest of them. Looking down the inside, Donald Malcolm. Oh, and Martinez doesn't leave the door open, and there's more of a traffic jam. Not saying he should leave the door open, but Donald made it very clear what his intentions were there. Martinez was having absolutely nothing of it. Donald certainly, if we look again, you'll see Donald puts his nose down the inside very early on. Look there, you've got that much time. Stephen just continues to close the line off. And unfortunately, it ends in a big old mess. Now this is the top 4 of the race, and look how close together they are. Absolutely awesome stuff. This is on board with Harry Wills, the very front of his car. We fly down the main straight. Nearly 230 kilometers an hour by the time we get onto the brakes. That's Dave Meneno's Lamborghini in front. Just listen to that. Battle for the lead just in front. Jonathan Hewlett squeezing his way down the inside of Tyler Campbell. Both of them holding each other up though. Dave Meneno trying to come through now as well. This is very, very tight. Very tight indeed. What's Tyler going to do? He sticks it in the middle of the road. Jonathan Hewlett's got to think about Meneno now. Needs to not squeeze him too much. Jonathan cares not for being polite right now. He's on a charge. He needs to make up points in the championship after his contact with Drew Neubauer ended his race at Watkins Glen. Gets right up in the slipstream, pulls over to the left-hand side of the road, tries to go later on the brakes. Can't quite do it. Tries to get some sort of cutback. He's got a nice run. We've got an issue further down for James Hebb, unfortunately. James, the man that won the race in the AM class at Watkins Glen. Maybe he's had some help there, or he's just lit up the rears, trying to get on the power. Jonathan Hewlett down the inside of Tyler Campbell. They just squeeze by each other. Jonathan has to try and carry it around the outside now. Needs to be careful that Dave Meneno doesn't take any places from him. Tyler's on the inside line, the compromised inside line. Dave Meneno just waiting patiently right now. But what a great battle we have between these top 4. It's been nice and clean so far. Jonathan Hewlett moves out to the left-hand side. Hard on the brakes around the outside, turns into the side of Tyler. He's very late turning in there though, is Campbell. Jonathan's trying to keep it down the inside through turn 2. These two Ferraris absolutely glued together. They need to be careful on moving over on each other through this part of the circuit. One tiny touch of contact and it is a big old accident down there. But 2x2 into this corner once again, and look at how close Meneno is to the back of that Ferrari. Harry Wills waiting in the wings there as well. He wants a piece of this action. Great racing. Still 2x2 into the hairpin again. Is Wills going to overtake Meneno here? He's trying to hang it around the outside, isn't he? He's going to have the inside for the next left-hander as well. That's nice stuff by Harry Wills. Fair racing by Dave Meneno as well. Lets him in. Tyler Campbell holds on to that lead. Now, Mark Sigelco has got a quite fair lead at the moment, but second place is definitely not sorted out. Jeff Carollo second ahead of Jeremy Littleton, then Taylor Lane. The battle not quite as fierce as you'd expect for the class lead, but these guys just trying to wait and see what advantages they can get on one another. We'll have a quick look at what happened to James Hebb, by the way. Oh, he's had a moment of his own there down the hill, and he's stopped the car. Actually, he's had a couple of issues at this point. This was the earlier problem. He's going into the hairpin. Oh, he's just over-rotated it on his own, to be fair. And then he's just he's parked it against the wall, unfortunately, and he's tried to get going again. That's a real shame. Look at Taylor Lane now on the back of Littleton. Surely this is going to turn into a move if he gets a good enough run off the final corner. Does get a pretty good launch. Not sure it's going to be enough though. No, not quite yet for Taylor. He's going to have to be a bit more patient as this race goes on. Florea leads the AM class. Right behind him there is Andrew Rasmussen from the Pro-Ams. So these two do not need to fight for position. But at the same time, Andrew won't want to get held up behind Daniel. Second place in the AMs is Jason Bridges. Just 2 cars behind Daniel, but to be honest, Daniel's doing everything he needs to do at the minute. And as expected, he lets Andrew Rasmussen through. Here's Martinez with Malcolm and Fowler still behind. Malcolm having a bit of a blink in and out for a second there. Disappears, then reappears very quickly in that Porsche. Well, the whole top 4 of this race separated by 1.4 seconds, 1.6 seconds as they break the beam. Great racing. But Tyler Campbell holds on to the lead. FTR Esports machine looking good around here. Looks nice and stable in the opening part of the lap, doesn't it? And so Jonathan Ouellette sticks his nose down the inside. Just tries to show a bit of aggression to Tyler to say, look mate, I am here, I'm not disappearing. I want that race lead. Both of them go over to the right hand side of the circuit. Tyler's just got it far enough over to the right to defend, but far enough over to the left that Jonathan can't just dink out really quickly and try and get around the outside. Harry Wills is now right with Jonathan as well. I think really, if anything, Jonathan needs to get on with this. He needs to hurry the job up, to be honest. He's just trying to get Tyler in a way where it's a really nice, clean, clever manoeuvre, but I think he needs to be a little bit more forceful. Dave Menino not quite hanging off the back of this pack at the minute. 0.7 of a second to Harry Wills in front, but I think maybe Dave just saving some fuel or something. He might just be playing the long game here. It's obviously 1 hour and 15 minutes. We've done 15 minutes of the race already. So pit stops won't be till later. That's close between Brent Bravata and Michael Kilaga. He's trying to go around the outside of him through the double left-hander. Can he make that work? That would be brilliant if he can. Lovely stuff by Brent Bravata, and he does. Great stuff. Absolutely great stuff. Very, very nice move indeed. Fair racing as well from Michael Kilaga, it has to be said. Now Michael's under pressure from Gary Brown in the FTR Esports Porsche. Now Eric Kilaga has come into the pits. I think that may be to do with some potential damage from earlier. Yes, he has had some sort of knock or something there. You can see the damage on the left rear corner. Back with this though. Our race leaders all over each other. Jonathan moves up to the right hand side, turns in, tries to just squeeze Tyler to the apex. Tyler has actually got a Pro-Am sticker on the back of the car, so maybe I'm sort of right but not right. The rest of them do have the Pro decals on the car. So maybe Tyler was just promoted, essentially. We know how quick Tyler can be. He's holding off Jonathan Ouellette at the moment, who was undoubtedly the fastest driver at Watkins Glen for quite a long way in the race. Dave Menino eventually taking a very well-deserved win after the heartbreak of Silverstone earlier in the season. But what a great train of cars this is. Still no change there. And Mark Sigelkow has got Jeff Carollo, Jeremy Littleton and Taylor Lane still chasing him down as well. So we've got these wonderful, exciting quartets of race cars all getting involved with one another. Shame with Jack Werrell not taking to the grid. Same with Matthew Plaisance as well. Neither of them showing us in the race. Just watching Michael Kilaga now try and do a bit of defending. As oh no, Tyler Campbell Tyler Campbell has been overtaken and has got a lot of damage on that car. Let's see what happened here. He's got Jonathan. Is he going to look down the inside? Oh, Jonathan, I don't know. Oh, wow, it's all kicked off. Contact with all of them. We'll have to see that from some sort of like chopper cam. I think Tyler just closed the gap off. Looked like he turned in late. Look, Jonathan looks to the inside. Tyler turns in late. I don't know. I think that's on Jonathan for me, really. Jonathan was the following car. It's your job to sort of make sure that you don't make contact where it's unnecessary. Oh no, Jason Bridges is off. Jason Bridges off at the hairpin, loses a couple of places. But yeah, I feel that Jonathan Ouellette might get a little bit of a telling off for that one there. You could argue that Tyler was out wide and then came back onto the racing line, but it wasn't like he'd completely missed the corner and then come back on. Very, very interesting moment there, though. Jonathan will probably be thinking that's some vengeance for what happened to him last week, or at least some consolation after the rejoin by Drew Neubauer caused him to end his race. Neubauer, by the way, second in class at the moment. If I look at the right car, it'd work, wouldn't it? Currently second in the BMW. Daniel Florea, though, 8 seconds up the road, so Drew just holding on for now. Jason Bridges right behind him, though. Jason's actually closing in quite quickly as well. That Mercedes looking very, very feisty. There's been changes and continues to be changes in the... Oh no, in the Pro-Ams. Taylor Lane is off. Now there was a big change around here. So this was for second place in Pro-Am. Taylor down the inside of Littleton. Oh, that's close. Carollo's still in this one. Just watching on as Littleton and Lane do the dance. Side by side out of the left-hander, down towards the hairpin. This is working for Mark just in front of them. Oh, and Littleton just runs a little bit too hot. And Taylor is forced out wide onto the gravel. He won't be too pleased with that, but at the same time, you know, it was nothing untoward by Jeremy Littleton, just went in a little bit too hot, like I said. The one that paid the price was Taylor there. Now Jonathan Ouellette leads this race. Harry Wills right behind him, so he'll have seen exactly what went on. Dave Meneno's still there in third. It's not like Dave's struggling or anything, but just not had the pace to get in front of these guys and disappear off up the road. I'm wondering if he's just in a comfortable position where he can sit behind them and play it safe. It's close between Drew Neubauer and Jason Bridges, though. Jason in the Mercedes staying very close indeed on the back of that BMW. Listen to the noise this thing makes. It's vile, innit? Great run as well for Jason Bridges in the slipstream. Moves over to the right of Drew Neubauer. God, that BMW even makes the Mercedes look small. Drew gets to the apex. Sorry, Jason gets to the apex down the inside. Drew gives him room. Jason now on the outside. Drew backs out of it. Jason through. Lovely stuff. Nice clean racing there as well. Good patience from Drew Neubauer. He knows exactly that Jason may be a case of when, not if, when it comes to the manoeuvre. He gave him all the room he needed there. And through he goes. Now we have Martinez, Malcolm and Fowler all together. This little trio still battling on. Nearly 22 minutes of this race gone already. Time certainly does fly when you're having fun. We've got Michael Kulaga and Andrew Rasmussen coming into the pits. Now we do expect some pit stops around the sort of 25 to half an hour mark. They might be a little bit sooner than I originally expected. Pit lane entry is the right-hander there just before the final corner. But you've got to really slow it down and tuck it into the right-hand side. It's like a lane that runs parallel with the circuit. However, if you get it wrong, there is grass out there, which is not forgiving at all. This is our overall race lead battle, though. Harry Wills in that Audi has had a very, very unlucky time so far. and that includes the pre-qualifying race at Suzuka at the start of the season. He led most of the latter stages before having a mistake and an off in a similar circumstance to that there. He blinked in and out, which was seemingly a PC related issue at the time because his connection seemed fine. But Dave Menado in the Lamborghini behind him ended up winning that race at Suzuka. He then went on to have his own network issue at Silverstone where he disconnected with just a few minutes to go. Me and my co-commentator Ed May couldn't quite believe it really. This is great pressure being put on by Harry Wills right now. It's all over the back of Jonathan Ouellette. Great to watch. Moving this way then that way. But Harry's been very, very patient right now, considering that Dave Menado is so close to the back of him as well. He's being a very patient boy. Tyler Campbell's still in the pit lane, I'm afraid. I don't think Tyler's going to be going anywhere. He's now 4 laps down on these guys as well. The field's starting to really spread out now at this point. Pit stops may be one of the main changing factors, or deciding factors I should say, as this race goes on. Top 4 in Pro-Am still very much close together though. Mark Sigelkow only 1.4 seconds ahead of Littleton, then it's Carollo 2.5 seconds, Taylor Lane 3 seconds. So the top 4 not separated by much at all. But Mark Sigelkow currently leading this race in the Pro-Ams and doing a really good job of it too. That Porsche looking pretty sturdy so far for 034 Motorsport. Taylor Lane has now reeled in Carollo again. Jeff hasn't got it all easy here. Taylor climbing around behind him. On board with the front end of the BMW we go. Doesn't give us much more of an insight other than look at the slipstream. Absolutely massive. Taylor Lane is later on the brakes. Jeff turns in. Always looks like they're going to make contact there, but nice close racing between the two. Jeff's now on the inside. Taylor carries the speed around the outside. He's just got enough room. Can he do it? He can, and he has. Yes, he has. Lovely. Absolutely lovely by Taylor Lane. As well, Jeff comes back at him. They both go a bit deep on the brakes. I think Taylor had to get out of that one there just to avoid the contact. He's up into 3rd place in class now. Lost a bit of time ahead to Jeremy Littleton, but still. He has got 50 minutes of this race left to go. So there is plenty of time to make that back up. At the very top, Jonathan Ouellette continues to lead. Harry Wills continues to sit behind him in 2nd. This might be about fuel saving quite early on, I must admit. As oh no, we've had a car off. Brent Bravata, whoa, off at the final corner. Not sure if he got any help off Gary Brown there. We'll have a quick look. No, he's just done it all on his own. Just a little bit too hot into there. Easily done. The main thing there is the fact that it's a downhill right-hander as well, and you're going into it pretty quickly. So you arrive on the scene very suddenly and have to think, right, brake and turn and sort of help the car sort of decompress as you get round the corner. Right now though, fastest lap of the race by the look of it, 128.30 by Dave Menado, 128.33 by Ouellette, 128.35 by Harry Wills. Tyler Campbell a 128.69. So it seems like these guys here have got some really, really strong and consistent pace between them. And that's why they're all so close together. Just coming up to lap Michael Fowler, the Twisted Racing Team Ferrari. He's not going to interrupt this battle or anything. He's certainly going to make sure his teammates got a nice easy passage through there. As, oh, he pulls back in front of Dave Menino does the number 54 Ferrari. And he's certainly not diving out of the way to let Dave through here. There you go, he's done it in a much safer place down the straight, although he's actually parked it on the apex. Oh, mate. Michael Fowler, I'm sure, will have caused Dave Menino to shout foul there as well. That was a bit of a scary moment, and that's lost him a lot of time as well to these boys. 2.2 seconds back now is Dave Menino. From Jonathan Ouellette. Sounded like there were cars coming into the pits there. Donald Malcolm's in, Michael Fowler just coming in as well. Still leading the AMs though, Daniel Fleuret. For Twisted Racing, that number 20 car going well. Mark Sigelkow still leads the Pro-Ams, but only by a tiny margin back to Jeremy Littleton. Taylor Lane's another second or so back there in the BMW. He's been pushing to try and catch them up over the last couple of laps. As into the pits comes Sigelkow. So Littleton and Lane continue on, and they get on with their race. I'll show you the pit stops on the left-hand side so you can see how many stops they've had. Oh, my fan club's arrived in the chat as well. Good to see you. But really, the only one legitimately in the top 5 on merit is Delano that has made a pit stop so far in his Eclipse Ferrari. I've just noticed as well, Jason Bridges has just had another moment in his Mercedes. He's just gone a little bit too, well, very too hot into the hairpin there. Manages to survive it though. And Jonathan Ouellette has come into the pits. I was just going to say, he's dropped behind Harry Wills. He already had, actually. Harry had overtaken him. And it seems Jonathan's thinking, right, I don't want to get stuck here. Stuff this, I'm off. And into the pits he goes. Oh, Taylor Lane's off. Taylor Lane was just off, going down the hill. He's gone and done this on his own. Oh, it's just as the car gets going on the weight transfer. Loses it, and oh, he clips the concrete. Oh my goodness me, wow. Fantastic that was. Absolutely fantastic. Jeff Carollo, hats off to you, Sunshine. That is really good accident avoidance. This is what you need in your sim racing leagues, everybody. That is the sort of driving you need in your sim racing leagues. Absolutely massive GGs there to Jeff Carollo. Can we get some GGs in chat, please? Because that was gorgeous. Rico saying Ouellette had no patience and should be penalised for punting Campbell. Well, I agree that he shouldn't have been in the back of him for sure. Wasn't like Campbell sort of came all the way across the road, was it? I think with the pressure from behind, that has to be considered there, because Ouellette obviously didn't want to get rear-ended himself either, so he had to try and sort of carry more speed through there. It was a difficult situation to judge, so hopefully the stewards get that one right. Oh, sounds like there's more contact in front. Harry Wills, by the way, for some reason. Ah, right, yeah. So Ouellette is right behind Littleton there. This is for position on the road. I thought for some reason that Littleton was facing Menino, but no. Menino is there a few seconds behind Harry Wills. Now apparently Matthew Plaisance has just overtaken Jack Werrell, but neither of them are racing. Oh, and Rasmussen's off. That's out of turn 2. Andrew Rasmussen has lost the back end of his Audi, I believe. Yep, it does that. Oh, he's already got damage there as well and backs it into the wall pretty hard. Reverses back onto the road. It's not too bad a rejoin, to be fair to him. We've definitely seen worse. Here's Michael Fowler now on the back of Donald Malcolm. Ferrari versus Porsche. 7th and 6th in their class, these two. The only drivers not to stop are Harry Wills, Dave Menino, Dean Timms, and Daniel Florea. And Jeff Carollo, actually. Jeff Carollo leads the Pro-Am. Harry Wills is in. So just over half an hour for him there. So far in this race, as that was a move down the inside, was it not? Apologies. Apologies again. For some reason it won't show me. There we go. Michael Fowler off the road though in the fight with Donald Malcolm. Not sure if he got any help with that. Jason Bridges has had another problem. No, Michael's just carried a little bit too much speed through there. What's happened to Jason Bridges? Down into the hairpin he goes. Is he just going to spin it? Yeah, just over rotates it on the way in. And the back end so slowly comes around. But he gets going again quite quickly. And off he goes. Now, Dave Menino is out of the pits much faster than Harry Wills. He was in there for 2 seconds less. Jonathan Ouellette, though, was in there for 6 seconds less. Sorry, 5 seconds less than Harry Wills. So the order suddenly turned on its head. Wills finds himself third after the first pit stops. Menino second. Jonathan Ouellette leads. Jeff Carollo continues to lead the Pro-Am battle. His nearest rival right now is Dean Timms, who's just come into the pits. So it's down to Jeff now to be the final one to pit. Will he have gained any time in the long run, or will he have lost time to some of the drivers behind putting in fast laps? We'll have to wait and see. These two cars still the closest together, Michael Fowler and Donald Malcolm. The cars always look a little bit skittish coming out of that left-hander, don't they? They always look like they're not quite behaving themselves through there. Pit stops continue though. Timms, Florea, Neubauer and Casey all coming out of the pits. Daniel Florea comes out and is still the AM class leader. Then Delano is second now. He's overtaken Drew Neubauer. Oh no, Donald Malcolm has been off the road, and so too is Stephen Martinez. I think Stephen might have gone off on his own. Oh, he has. That's a big, big moment. And Donald Malcolm, no, he's just run wide on the exit. Not really correlated incidents, but that means that Michael Fowler in fourth place has now got a bit of a gap over him in that Ferrari. But Daniel Florea at the moment, car number 20, doing a great job for Twisted Racing. He is the AM class leader. Jeff Carollo is in the pits. Jeremy Littleton and Mark Sigelkow have gone past, so too is Taylor Lane. Jeff Carollo certainly losing out a little bit in that final part of his stint there for a second. He's now, wow, 5.9 seconds off the back of Taylor Lane. Taylor has completely gone up the road right now. He wants to catch down, or chase down, Mark, and then Jeremy Littleton, of course, in the Martini Ferrari that now leads the way. So far we've had a couple of retirements from the race. Jack Werrell and Matthew Plaisance didn't start. Joseph Smith has retired. Jay Steffi, James Hebb and Tyler Campbell, all of which aren't currently moving. Tom Corner is moving. He's still out there. He's just a couple of laps down in 22nd position. He's just taking his time, playing it safe. Gorgeous doggo though, must be said. Lovely doggo. Jonathan Ouellette, your overall race leader. Car 2 is certainly not P2 at the moment. He wants to make sure that he gets a win to make up for Watkins, as we all would. Jonathan was very, very hard done by at that race meeting. And he gets the Ferrari round in a very tidy and smooth manner, doesn't he, Jonathan Ouellette? We've seen good things from him in the Race Anywhere Porsche Cup of the US as well. He's been very, very quick there. Harry Wills only 5 seconds off these guys in the current situation. Top 5 in each of the other classes, all within 20 seconds of each other, so it's not too spread out. There are currently no cars within a second of each other on the entire circuit. They're close though. Taylor Lane is catching Mark Sigelkow and continues to do that. And this is important because when Taylor gets up to Mark, he needs to just dispatch of him very quickly and then see what he can do about Jeremy Littleton, the class leader. Taylor won the class on his debut last time out at Watkins Glen, really proved how quick he can be. Good combination with this BMW. Let's not forget as well that James Hebb for Rhino Motorsports won the AM class on his debut last time as well. Unfortunately for him today, it's not looking like that sort of day. The BMW, of course, making all of its distinct whines and whistles and screeches as it makes its way down the straight with Taylor at the wheel. Certainly a focusing looking car to have in your rear view mirror. It's not something you want to look at anyway, is it? Andrew Rasmussen in the pits. I felt like he came in a lot earlier before, maybe for damage or something. He must have had that fixed and now he's taking his sort of planned pit stop. Matthew in the chat as well saying that he's had CPU issues. Matthew Plaisance for Eclipse Racing Sports. That's a real shame, mate. I hope you can get the problem sorted before too long and get out there on track so it doesn't hinder your championship too much. As all off goes the Porsche of Mark Sigelkow, and Taylor Lane has put on the pressure for a good lap or so now, and it has finally meant that Mark has crumbled for just that moment in time. Now what can Taylor do about chasing down Jeremy Littleton, the class leader, car 31, the Martini Ferrari. Great looking bit of kit, to be honest with you. The Martini livery doesn't always suit every car it goes on, but certainly looks good there. And he's got quite the healthy lead as well over Taylor Lane, some 3.5 seconds to the car behind. Dean Timms is on his way through the order. He's currently in 8th position outright. Sorry, 8th position in class. He's got Daniel Fleuret just in front of him. And Justin Delano just behind him. He's just trying to carve his way through, maybe gain some more points in the championship in his own class. Thank you very much as well, Tyler. Gutted to see what happened to you, buddy. It's a real shame about all that damage. Would have been great to see you have that scrap all the way through the race, even through the pit stops as well. It could have been a hell of a lot of fun. But thank you for your kind words, mate. Certainly do enjoy it. It's a very late evening, of course, in the UK here. Local time right now is 2:15 in the morning, so I must admit there are moments where I'm flagging a little bit. Got an early start in the morning as well, so sleep is not something that I'm going to get much of tonight. Daniel Fleuret with Delano, then Neubauer, all getting closer and closer together. 40 minutes of this race gone already. Certainly is a quick one here as, whoa, down the inside goes Dean Timms. Big send on Daniel. He says, right, I'm not going to wait around here, mate. I'm going to just go past you and I'll see you in a bit. But that has meant that Justin Delano has closed in right behind Daniel Fleuret now. And look at this, checking up through the double left-hander. Soaring at the wheel a little bit there is Justin to try and make sure that he can feel where the car is moving around. Gary Brown is off the road. Gary Brown is off the road and a long way off the road. Let's have a look what's happened here. Oh, wow, wow, wow. Whoa. It sounded great, but yeah, that was certainly not a moment he wants to have. Brent Bravata has gone off the road, so too has Tom Cornett. Brent goes off at turn 1. I think we could hear Tom Cornett's car going off. Yep, he's lost it, and it's just going to just kiss the inside wall. So So a number of incidents all in one go. Justin Delano has been off the road. Let's have a look what happened to Justin. That's Jonathan Ouellette, race leader, coming through. It's the second week running where race leader has had an issue with traffic. Brent Bravata and Tom Cornett have both gone off the track again. At the same time this time. I feel like they may have something to do with each other at this one. Let's have a look. Bravata down the inside. Whoa, they both went a little bit too hot into there. And they ended up making contact with one another. A little bit messy there on the way in, but at the end of the day, I'd say they both got away with it. This is Justin Delano, though, second in the AM class by just under 2 seconds from Daniel Florea. Oh, Taylor Lane. Taylor Lane is around in the BMW. Flicks the back end around. Lovely style, Taylor. He's going to have shredded the rear tyres doing that, but still, he's had a big, big moment, clearly. And he's going to have done this on his own. I think he's just going to clip the gravel on the exit of here. Ready? Oh, it's just the AstroTurf. And wow, that's a big old hit into the wall. Great avoidance by Mark Sigelkow behind him. That was a big old lick with the wall, as you Americans say it. A hard lick, I think they say. But Taylor carrying on. It really doesn't look like that car's been damaged at all by that incident. That's pretty incredible. That's the number 80 car right there. Tom Cornett in the Team Premac red machine. Taylor makes light work of him, of course. He's a lap down, so there's no point in him fighting with him there or trying to put up any sort of competition. As we see Dave Meneno going through there. So it's Ouellette from Meneno from Wills at the very top of the order. And Ouellette is once again in a situation where he's leading the class, leading the race overall. But in being that leader, he is the first one to get to the traffic. And that's one of the things, really, is that you have to be so careful when you are approaching the traffic, because if you don't see how the other drivers around you deal with it, you have to just sort of take the chance that you're getting through it better than they are. It's difficult. Very difficult, that's for sure. Love watching the shot there of them coming through the left, right, left section out of the first couple of corners. And then smoothly onto the power as you get round the right-hander and up the hill as fast as you can go. And then you are flat all the way down to the hairpin, checking your markers on the left-hand side, waiting for the opportunity to smoothly guide it in on the brakes. Use the camber of the corner to your advantage. And then back down the hill. Whoa, Meneno having a bit of a moment there, just for a sec. See that he just clipped the grass the tiniest bit and the car started stepping away from him. You do get that though. I mean, sometimes it's not even a case of the whole car sort of going off at one side and putting both wheels on the grass. Sometimes you've just got to even just touch the curb just to unsettle the car the tiniest bit. And it will go around, but great watching Jonathan Ouellette guide his way around here. Eric Kulaga is just coming out of the pits. There's some pretty severe damage on the front left of that Ferrari, isn't there? There's a car around in the background. That's Andrew Rasmussen. He's had a spin. He's got still that damage on the rear end that he had before. Gets going again, but that's a very grumpy Audi, isn't it? that's certainly not pleased with the way it's been treated this evening. Let's have a look. I think it's just going to be a case of the back end starts to let go. Yeah, just that really painfully slow spin that the Audi has, and it always does get this. It's got one of them sort of skinny rear ends of a GT3 car. And it does sort of float the back end around the corner. Kulaga is now in the middle of all the AMs, so he's sort of in a bit of no man's land with it all. He's going to be hoping that some of his rivals in class obviously have some sort of problems further down the line, so that he can gain points and positions overall. Jeremy Littleton, though, holding on at the front of the Pro-Ams. He's doing a smashing job here. He's currently got an 8.3 second lead over Mark Sigelkow, so he'll be a happy boy as of right now. Just trying to see if there's any weakness in this Porsche, but to be honest, it looks really, really strong, doesn't it? Back down the start-finish straight he goes. Obviously, the positional markings, the numbers on the windscreen showing you the overall position. Daniel Florea has just had a moment. He went off the track for just a second there. Maybe just running a little bit wide onto the gravel. And before you know it, he's lost maybe a second, maybe half a second. Jonathan Hewlett back in the pits here. 50 minutes of this race just about to be done. And Jonathan's going for some sort of cutback over Meneno, who now hands himself the lead. His rival going into the pits. Taylor Lane now back behind Jeff Carollo. All these Pro-Ams are going to be sick of seeing Taylor Lane. He's been up and down the order like a yo-yo, hasn't he? I suppose it's at least been an exciting race for him. He certainly knows how to use that BMW as well. He's filling the mirrors of Jeff Carollo with it right now, isn't he? All over the back of him. Now, is he going to get enough slipstream here to get the move done? The BMW does like a bit of slipstream. Looks down the inside of the Porsche, just tries to force Jeff into a move there, or into a mistake, I should say. Doesn't look like the BMW has really the acceleration to deal with the Porsche out of some of the corners, though, does it? We were talking earlier, or at least I mentioned earlier, the sort of traction it seems to have when it comes out of the final corner especially, but once it sort of stretches its legs and gets moving, it doesn't really sort of progress any further than that, does it? Still, he carries on chasing Jeff. We've got Steven Martinez in the pit lane. Pretty steady race at the moment, though. Not too much changing, just the pit stops doing their bit, as you'd expect them to. Right now, Meneno is at the top of the field, 3.5 seconds ahead of Harry Wills. When will he come into the pits? Because he's, of course, got to take a bit more fuel and then just have a dash to the end. He's not coming in this time round. That Lamborghini will go on to do yet more laps. Certainly making the fuel last more than Ouellette did. But let's not forget that Jonathan Ouellette's last pit stop was a lot shorter. So that could actually rebalance the other way. And we could find ourselves with Dave Menino having quite the advantage here. Could certainly go that way. Looking solid right now though, that Lamborghini. Trying to get away from Harry Wills and succeeding at doing so. He's gained another half a second on him. I always get confused there because it certainly looks like there's a car on the inside of the circuit when it suddenly flashes past the side of the camera. There definitely isn't a car there. Just keep thinking that somebody's had an off or had a moment. Another little pop and bang on the overrun there for Dave Menino. Onto the brakes around the final corner and looking very unfazed right now. It looks like he's going to spend even more time out on track without coming in, so maybe he'll get to the sort of 56-minute mark. I imagine he'd be in at the end of this lap, surely. Last time he was in was lap 22. Suppose he's on lap 36, so he could potentially go to lap 44 if he had enough fuel in the thing, but that's for him to know and for us to find out, I guess. Hope you're enjoying the show there, everybody. It's a much more sort of mellow race this time than we've had previously. That's not a mellow noise though, is it? Wow. Sounded absolutely phenomenal. A pop and bang on the overrun from the Porsche is definitely a naughty one. Stephen Martinez and Jason Bridges are close together. This is for 7th and 8th in class though. Not the podium positions they were battling for earlier and of course hoping to hold on to. But they are the closest two cars on track as of right now. Jason hoping to high side hustle his way past. Stephen Martinez just holding on, continuing at the pace he's on. Gotta love that Mercedes as well. It's a real classic, isn't it? Modern classic of GT3 racing. It's such an all-round car. Is the Mercedes-Amg Gt3. Even the new iteration as well. An absolute stormer of a car. They always have been good all-rounders. I mean, when they first came to iRacing, I remember racing in a GT3 league, and the Mercedes was so fast in a straight line, like so fast, like stupid fast. You just could not compete with it at all. And we were racing at Le Mans, funnily enough, at Circuit de la Sarthe, and there was just nothing you could do with it. Nothing you could do to compete with it. You had to be in the slipstream, and once you lose said slipstream, you were just done for. Absolutely done for. Let's keep our eye on Dave Menino. Is he going to come in? No. Carries on again. Impressive. Very impressive, this. He's got 30 seconds over Jonathan Ouellette. Now, Jonathan's total pit lane time last time out was 41 seconds with an 11-second pit stop. So, Jonathan's going to have to get on with it if he wants to catch him without him pitting. But at the same time, if Meneno is going to pit, it's going to have to be a very, very quick and very short pit stop. But we wait to see. SRT Esport, though, will be happy with Dave Meneno so far, that's for sure. Andrew Rasmussen is still carrying on in that Audi, by the way. So even the issues that he had earlier on, not putting him off. And not putting the car off as well. The car's actually survived quite well, hasn't it? Let's have a look at your Pro-Am class leader, Jeremy Littleton. There's a bit of a moment there for John Casey. Comes close to having a bit more of a problem there, but luckily doesn't spin the thing. All it takes is for you to just tap the grass that tiniest bit, and the car will be around so quickly. A lot of the time you can't even react to it. But Littleton obviously clear of him right now. And we need to look back actually, because while they're not fighting for position, the two closest cars on track are Michael Fowler and Eric Kulaga. '11th and 12th overall, these two Ferraris. Michael second in his class. As, oh, excuse me. Apologies, everybody. Seem to have had a bit of an issue there with a quick disconnection, and we're back on again. Apologies, everyone. Sudden blip there. The wonderful world of the internet. My connection just having some sort of problem. But we are back. It's almost like a low drag spec of that Audi, isn't it? That Andrew Rasmussen's in. It goes like it as well, look at that. Trying to go around the outside there of the Ferrari. Justin Delano that was in the Eclipse machine. But still Dave Meneno leads the way. And we need to see what's the gap. 32.4 seconds. He's still got 15 minutes to do here. Harry Wills is in the pits now. That does show you how late they can leave it. And of course they won't need to take anywhere near as much fuel, but I can't see this working for Dave Meneno. I really can't. I just love looking at this Lamborghini. I'm sorry, I get lost in a trance of looking at it. Jason Bridges still trying to chase down Stephen Martinez, but it's not been much of a change there between those two. But I have to say, this has been one of the more mellow races in the championship so far, if only the only mellow race. Mark Sigelkow and Taylor Lane both coming into the pits. In the Pro-Ams, they're leaving this right to the end as well. Now this would be good to see in terms of how long they're stationary for. Harry Wills was stationary for 7 seconds compared to the 11 of Jonathan Ouellette. Obviously Jonathan was quicker than the other guys in his pit stop earlier, but will now have a longer stop at this point. So Dave Meneno, if he does come into the pits, still not in. 1 hour and 2 minutes now that he's done, and he's not been into the pits yet. Then again, he's on lap 42 now. He did 22 laps earlier, so surely in the next at least 3 laps he has to be in, but with how little of the race left there is to go, I'm not sure how comfortable he'll be, because in my mind I'd want to go in the pits, come back out as soon as I could, so then I've got longer to react to it, longer to drive the absolute nuts off the car. But Dave right now on a bit of a mission, it has to be said. He's trying to just open up that gap to Jonathan Ouellette. It's 33.27 seconds. Jonathan's still pushing hard anyway, though. But it is starting to just open up that bit more now. 33.5 seconds. Dave Meneno not in again. That Lamborghini's like a hybrid, honestly. 70 miles to the gallon, he says. 1 hour and 3 minutes of this race done. 12 minutes to go. That's only about, what, 6 or 7 laps? Maybe a bit more than that. But still, Dave now carving his way through some more traffic. That is the Mercedes of Jason Bridges that he's going down the inside of. Or Jason's just gone a bit too wide. Just touches the gravel slightly there on the edge of the circuit. Gets away with it, though. But that gap, of course, from Jason to Stephen has opened up quite a bit. So that hasn't helped his situation, to say the least. But I think right now he's not too worried about the 1 or 2 points he might gain from being there. Jeremy Littleton into the pits from the top of the Pro-Ams. He had quite the gap back to Jeff Carollo. And obviously he won't need to be stationary for very long. Tom Cornett's been off the track and back on again. He's off again. That's turn 2. And that is going to be the end of Tom Cornett's race, I believe. Maybe one off too many for him. Jeff Carollo's gone through. Jeff Carollo takes the lead in the Pro-Ams. Jeremy Littleton gets going. Where's Mark Sigelkow, who was leading it for so long earlier? Oh, there's Mark. He's coming through the final corner. So Jeremy Littleton, quite the comfortable lead in the class. And there, just in front of him, Dave Meneno still not in after all of this. And these two have actually closed up now. Now that Meneno has lapped Stephen Martinez, Jason Bridges is suddenly back on the scene. Jason looking this way and that way on the way into the right-hander there, but still nothing doing. Gets a nice run on the exit. God, that car looks mean, doesn't it? Gets a great bit of slipstream. We'll go on the nose cam so you can see the speed difference. Looks down the inside, tries to go later on the brakes. He does come off the brakes a bit, and he's overdone it. Puts it in sideways, manages to save it, but yeah, he just went in a little bit too hard there on the brakes. It's easy to do. You know, he just came off it a little bit. Tried to get the move done. And a bit further up, we've got Michael Fowler chasing down John Casey. The 046 Porsche starting to think about defending from the Twisted Racing Team Ferrari. And Carollo into the pits again now. So Jeremy Littleton re-inherits the class lead. I should have noticed that Carollo's only had one pit stop. And that's Dave Meneno in there with him. So now we have to wait and see. How long is Meneno stationary for? It's only going to be a matter of seconds, surely. Maybe 3, 4, 5 seconds. No. It's actually longer. Longer than Jonathan. Oh, no, sorry. It's longer than Harry Wills. It was 7.7 seconds. And there is Jonathan Ouellette. So, wow. Dave Meneno, 39 seconds in the pits. Really did open up that gap. That's pretty incredible, to be fair. Although, I guess some of that pit lane time that is counted here on my system is the entry to the pit lane where they are still going quite quickly. So, I guess they don't lose as much as we actually make out, because that's not all the time that they're at pit lane speed limiter speeds, which is, of course, where they'd lose most of the time. John Casey's into the pits. Tom Cornett is coming back out of the pits, though. So he's willing to continue to give this a go. 7.5 minutes left, and Dave Meneno has done it again on strategy. This guy knows exactly what he's doing, doesn't he? number 5 car aiming to be the number 1 come season end. So he's not got many laps to go now. Back down the straight once more. That's going to be the end of lap 45. He's now on to his 46th lap. Mark Sigelkow 16 seconds off the Pro-Am class lead, but not too far ahead of Taylor Lane. Taylor's been a real trooper, hasn't he, in this race? He's lost a bunch of time with spins and moments here and there. Oh no, Jason Bridges. Jason Bridges gets going again. He's just had a problem into the hairpin. Now he's gone past Stephen Martinez. What's gone on here? Down the inside he goes. Oh, he's done it again. Oh, and a big hit into the side of Martinez. That's not going to go down well at all, is that one. The Gt3 Motorsport car in that wonderful, it's quite a plain livery, but it certainly looks the part, doesn't it? Mark Sigelkow's machine. Lovely spec map on the car as well, makes it look nice and shiny. Still second, but Littleton, wow, 16 seconds to the good in his number 31 Ferrari. He's not been shaken by anybody. And he's certainly not been stirred by anything going on around him either, has he? Michael Fowler and Drew Neubauer close together again. This is Drew trying to get past the Ferrari for the final spot on the podium in their class. Trying to see what the differences are on the brakes here, but you can see the BMW seems to have this real stability about it, but I always think maybe it's just that camera giving us a bit of false hope for it. But still, the Team Pramac machine chasing down the Twisted Racing Team Ferrari. Oh, Andrew Rasmussen's been off the track again, I'm afraid. He's had another problem. Donald Malcolm's just had an issue too. Oh, there's that. Whoa. Andrew Rasmussen just grabs a gear very suddenly, and around it goes. Donald Malcolm has just gone off as well. Let's keep with this and see what happened to him. Now, where is it that this goes wrong? He's been off the track twice. Okay, so we weren't too far away. Whoa, out of turn 2, loses it and smacks it into the concrete part of the wall as well. Not the bit even with the tyres on it. Big old hit there as Drew Neubauer looks down the inside of Michael Fowler. Michael leaves room. Now gets out back in front again. Not far from the end of the race now, actually. Dave Menino still leading the way. Oh, Harry Wills has gone off. Harry Wills has had a big off there. That's out of turn 2. Go on board with Harry and see how this went. Back end gets away, and again, oh wow, snaps one way then the other, and whoa, Harry. Wow, fair play to you, mate. Fair play indeed. How on God's earth did you not hit anything there? Can we just have a round of applause for Harry, please? How on earth did you not hit anything there? That's brilliant. I know he's made a mistake and spun, but that is actually brilliant driving. Really brilliant driving. GG, Harry Wills. Wow. Now this is Drew Neubauer still trying, around the outside of Michael Fowler in the hairpin. Can he pull that one off? Nicely done indeed. Still nothing. Oh, he's still on the inside. But Fowler holds the pace around the outside. The Ferrari taking to the grass. Now Taylor Lane. Where has Taylor gone? Taylor Lane has disappeared. And I hate to... Oh no, Drew Neubauer's just gone off. We've just looked away from it and there has been an accident. Michael Fowler went off with him. Let's have a look. So Drew's down the inside. Oh, it was messy, boys. It was messy. Let's just slow that down a bit and have a look. So you can see, I think Fowler at the back end steps out a bit. Drew just goes over to the right just to try and squeeze the gap. There is a bit of netcode with the first touch. And then, of course, the two cars do slightly morph into each other a little bit. But Drew needed to give a little bit more room on his left-hand side there, it has to be said. Dave Menino is going to have one more lap to go after this. It's been a very, very impressive performance by Dave again. Early on, he was just sort of floating around at the back of the pack. Yes, there's only 4 cars in the pro category to begin with, but, you know, Dave was at the back of them, and he was hoping to try and overtake them, and throughout the race he's just kept his pace up. He's opened up the taps, and whenever he's had clear air, he's just run with it, absolutely run with it. He's worked the pit stop strategy out as well. He's got 8 seconds over Jonathan Ouellette right now, and he's led every race so far this season. The only reason he didn't win at Silverstone was a sudden disconnection right near the end. Harry Wills has had another off here, I'm afraid. He's just gone into the second to last hairpin. Ooh. The back end wanted to get away there, and yeah, look, as soon as you overheat the tyres the slightest bit, the car just wants to absolutely have you for breakfast. But this has been mega by Dave Menino. He needed a strong comeback performance at Watkins Glen after the heartbreak of Silverstone, and he did it there with a wonderful strategy, and he's come all the way over to Japan, and here at Okayama he's going to do the same. Very, very well done. Car number 5, win number 2 of the season for Dave Menino. Awesome, awesome drive. Very, very much the man to beat at the moment this season. Behind him though, second place, car 2 P2, Jonathan Ouellette. He'll be happy with that. Some very strong points for his campaign. Very well done indeed. Daniel Florea is going to take the honours in the AM category. He's had a very untouched race as well, to be fair. He's got 15 seconds over Justin Delano. The number 20 Ferrari has been supreme here on the Pacific. Florea takes the win in AM. Very, very strong drive that. Very, very strong drive. Well done, Daniel Florea. Now we'll have to see if we can keep our eye out for Jeremy Littleton behind, because he, to be fair, actually, Justin Delano is going to be next up. He's going to make it second place for the number 38 Ferrari. Bit of damage either side of that. And Drew Neubauer, after that incident with Michael Fowler, has come back through, and he's going to take the final spot on the podium. Flashes the lights. He needs that after the very tough week that he's had in both series. So well done to Drew Neubauer. And Jeremy Littleton takes a very, very well-deserved win at the top of the Pro-Ams. He's got also a sort of 16-ish second lead at the top, but the Martini Ferrari does a mega, mega job. Mark Sigelkow is going to be pretty pleased with second place, although he led the class by quite some distance early on. I'm sure second won't be too much to sniff at, to be fair. And Jeff Carollo has already finished the race. He's going to be classified third in the Pro-Am category. Well done to him. Right then, let's have a quick look at your race results. Then we'll go through the Pro class first. Obviously not many of them to go through. Dave Menino takes another win, 2 in a row now for him. 9 seconds ahead of Jonathan Ouellette. Harry Wills, after his little incidents earlier, later on in the race, I should say, is classified 1 lap down. Tyler Campbell, unfortunately, does not finish the race. Looking at the Pro-Am class, Jeremy Littleton takes the win by 15 seconds. Everybody else was actually lapped by the leader. Jeff Carollo third, Gary Brown fourth, Eric Kulaga rounding out the top 5. Dean Timms is classified 6th ahead of Michael Kulaga and Andrew Rasmussen in what was left of his Audi. Taylor Lane unfortunately disconnecting just a couple of laps before the end. He's classified 9th ahead of Brent Bravata, rounding out the 10. Then it's Jay Steffi, who was not classified. Joseph Smith and Jack Werrell did not complete the first lap of the race. And then, of course, last but not least, we look at our AM class. Daniel Florea for Twisted Racing, a 15.5 second win over Justin Delano. Drew Neubauer gets a 3rd place, very well done to Drew. Michael Fowler in 4th place, and Donald Malcolm rounds out your 5. Then it's Stephen Martinez just behind, and then just behind him, Jason Bridges. A great fight between those guys at the end. John Casey is 8th ahead of Tom Cornett, 5 laps down. James Hebb and Matthew Plaisance are not classified. So, I have to have a quick look through the order and see who we've got ready for an interview. And to be fair, it's always good to speak to a podium finisher no matter what class they are in the series. And I have with me Justin Delano, who's going to have a quick chat. And Justin, that was certainly an interesting race here at Okayama. It's not an easy track with this very famously slippery Japanese tarmac. How did you find it out there?
I thought it was pretty well. I ended up making my own setup. My biggest concern today was all the damage I had. I had no front end almost the whole race.
Yeah, I was going to say we noticed it. I noticed at the end of the race there that both the front fenders were sort of bent inwards. It almost looked like an open wheel Ferrari prototype at the front. But how did you get around managing that? Was it just a case of being careful on how much lock you were using and looking after the tires?
Yeah, it was mostly brake early. Towards the end, I was really starting to plow them. I'm assuming it was a combination of the damage and the temperature.
Yeah, it's one of those circuits where it does get hot very, very quickly here. It's quite humid as well, of course, at the Japanese circuits, but a lot of the corners are quite high speed as well in the first few bits of the track, so you really overheat the tyres early on in the lap, and then through all the twisty bits in the middle, like you say, it just snowplows straight on, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. I was just pushing the car and praying that it would turn in almost the whole race.
Well, it was certainly a good result either way, mate. Plenty of points for the championship. Is there anyone you'd like to give a quick shout out to while we've got you?
I definitely got to give a shout out to my team. They brought me into this like a week before signups, and I'm doing much better than I thought I'd be doing.
Well, it's been great to see you getting the points, Justin, and hopefully next time round that continues for you, mate. But thank you for joining me very briefly, and look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Cheers, you too. Justin Delano there finished 2nd in the Pro-Am category, and it's probably worth having a chat with the overall race winner, Dave Meneno. Dave, I mean, you've done the same again, mate. A wonderful strategy, plenty of consistent pace, but at the start, you weren't bolting away from everybody. You were just sort of picking your moment. Do you think that the patience is key to your performance?
Yeah, I think so, definitely. I saw how aggressively Tyler was defending, and he was doing a pretty mega job of it. And so I knew that, and this isn't a very easy track to pass on, to be honest. There's just not enough straightaway. So I kind of, once I lost 3rd to Harry, I figured, seeing how much that Jonathan and Tyler are battling, it made sense just to kind of save fuel, because I wouldn't really lose a ton of time because they were kind of slowing each other down in the process. So that was definitely the plan. Once I kind of lost 3rd, it just became kind of a strategy race. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, I was just saying there to Justin, the tyres at the first half of the lap, they really get hot through that high speed section, and I mean even just the first 2 corners alone, you really do scrub the tyres through there. But then it means that they're really hot for the twisty stuff later on. You don't get a chance to give the tyres a break round here, despite there being long straights and so on.
Yeah, definitely. It's tricky under braking for sure. A lot of these really slow corners, at the end of that back straight, you can loop the car around pretty easily if you lock the rears, and kind of the last 2 hairpins, the back end really wants to kick out. You can tell the traction control is kind of in hyper mode. So, it is definitely the kind of track where you're quicker off by driving smooth than trying to push too hard.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of the tracks where you really have to manage the car over the course of a race, but you certainly did that well. Obviously, I imagine it's an even bigger confidence boost going forward now to the next round. How confident are you?
Yeah, I mean, pretty confident. I mean, obviously, just kind of keeping it clean has been the key, but I mean, To be honest, I don't think I've really had, the quickest single lap pace. So, I mean, I think Jonathan was probably quickest around here and probably the last race too. So, I mean, I think it's just a matter of time till he puts together a clean race because, it's been tricky for sure. It hasn't been super easy.
Well, yeah, that's it. I mean, even if there are only, say, 4 cars in the class, it's still competitive. It was great watching you guys race at the front early on. So, congratulations on that. Is there anyone you'd like to give a quick thank you to while we've got you?
Yeah, definitely. We'd like to thank you guys at Absolute Sim Racing for broadcasting. You guys always do an incredible job. It's such a blast to watch these races afterwards. I'd like to thank Harry and Dean for setting up the league, and I'd like to thank the SRT Esport guys.
Cracking stuff. Well done again, Dave. Another wonderful win. Look forward to seeing you do it again, I'm sure. But have a great night, and we'll see you soon.
Yep, thanks, Jazz.
Cheers. There you go, Dave Meneno there, your overall race winner. He certainly had a very nice Sunday. No, it's not even a Sunday, is it? A very nice, what is for me, a Thursday morning drive. The next driver, though, he's had a bit of a tough week leading up to this one, but he's certainly turned it around with a podium in class tonight. Drew, mate, it's been a hell of a week, hasn't it? But finally, some strong points on the board with that one. You must be pretty pleased.
Yeah, Chaz, it's been a week to forget for sure. Just contact, and then a week ago, just a huge driver error on the at Watkins. I misread my relative, and just felt gutted for Jonathan on that. But so I wanted to say I apologize for that. But yeah, had a good race and felt a lot better tonight.
Yeah, you always had somebody around you in that one. There was a number of drivers that were always on their own there. The field was quite spread out, but you seemed to be that one driver that was like a magnet for other cars. There was always somebody to fight. That must have kept it quite exciting for you.
It did, for sure. I definitely prefer it that way when you've got somebody to race. Early on, I tried to save my tires a little bit. At the end, I felt like I had a little bit more pace. I felt like I was catching Justin, but I had an error in the pits. For some reason, I guess I didn't uncheck one tire, and it went up on the jacks, and I went crazy. But kept my head down, and Michael got ahead of me, and then we got into it a little bit. I actually thought I gave him a bunch of room, and kind of thought he did me a little dirty. But watching it back, I think it was a little bit of a net code. So no harm, no foul. I got it out of the tires and was able to run him back down. I think he was struggling on tires big time. But great time, though. Good time tonight.
Yeah, there were certainly a few moments out there where drivers really did look like they were struggling a bit. So it's certainly interesting to see how you guys all sort of balance that out. The people that have looked after the tyres, the people that haven't. Obviously, I imagine this race today gives you quite the confidence boost going forward into future rounds. Can we expect to see you on the podium in class again, do you reckon?
Yeah, for sure. I'd love to try to make this podium a habit. The sim racing is I'm new to it, but trying to get it figured out. But definitely want to thank my 17-year-old driving coach Logan Vida, who couldn't be here tonight, but he's helped me quite a bit try to get up to pace.
Well, nicely said, mate, and it's great to see that development coming on as well. And that's one of the best things about sim racing. It's such a great tool to develop these sorts of things. And even if it's real drivers coming from the real world to this, or going vice versa, we've seen so many sim racers go into the real world motorsport as well. It's great to see that development, Drew, and obviously best of luck for next time round, and thank you for joining me.
All right, thanks guys. Appreciate everything you guys do on the broadcast. It's a great time watching it back. Thanks, Chaz.
Thanks very much, Drew. See you soon. And there you go. I think maybe one more interview is in order, and that will be with the man that actually finished 3rd place overall in this race and took a class win to go with it by some margin. Jeremy, you must be a really, really happy man right now. That was a hell of a race for you.
Yeah, that was tough. The first stint with Jeff and Mark and Taylor. Wow, was that pressure filled?
Yeah, indeed. Especially, it's difficult when you've got one car chasing you down, but when you've got 3 of them absolutely on your rear bumper, it must be a bit of a nerve-wracking time to say the least, but still, certainly looked entertaining, especially when you managed to gap them as well. I imagine you were quite relieved.
Yeah, once I got by them, I was able to gap them, but those those two Porsches were so fast through the middle section of that track. It was really tough to get by them. It took me about 10 or 12 laps to figure out a braking pattern where I could get down into the corners and start accelerating before them, and I was finally able to do it. And Taylor figured it out too, and we nearly went 3 wide into the hairpin there at the end of the straight. That was intense.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of an understatement, to be fair. It was certainly entertaining to watch as well, and the wonderful Martini branded Ferrari's a good one to look at. Can we expect to see more of these class wins from you going forward as well? It must be really confidence boosting.
Yeah, after last week's Watkins Glen incident on the 7th lap, when I went into the wall at 200 miles an hour, it feels good to get a win under your belt.
Yeah, I can imagine, mate. I can imagine. It's not something I ever really do in sim racing is win, never mind in class, but still, fantastic stuff, Jeremy. Very well done. Is there anyone you'd like to thank while I've got you?
Nope, that's okay. I'd like to thank the guys I was racing against. It was nice and clean, and hopefully we have more of that this season.
I'll join you on hoping for that one, Jeremy. But thank you very much for chatting to me, buddy. Well done on the class win, and we'll see you in a week.
Thank you.
Cheers. Jeremy Littleton, everybody, your Pro-Am class winner. Certainly a fantastic night of racing, though, here in the Race Anywhere World Series. That is all we have time for tonight, though. Dave Menino takes another fantastic win. Littleton wins his class, and Florea wins the AMs. We'll be with you in a week, everybody. Have a great evening. We'll see you soon.